Hi guys, and welcome to episode 7 of Relocate. Today we're in a neighborhood where way back in 1910, the government decided to delegate a university to this area. 1914, they had a framework for the area and the university, at which time 300 acres of forest was delegated off and saved, and they were going to use this forest to eventually develop into single-family houses to sell off and in turn fund the university. Today we are in a place with amazing views. Today we are in UBC Vancouver. So UBC Vancouver is bordered at the north by the Burrard Inlet, to the south by the Fraser River, to the west by the waters of the Georgia Strait, and to the east by the jogging streets of Blanca and Camosun, north to south. The Chan Center for Performing Arts, the Museum of Anthropology, UBC Farm. We've got Acadia Beach, we've got Spanish Banks, we've got the ever so famous Wreck Beach. Just some of the amenities out here on the furthest west side point at UBC. The school in itself brings a plethora of additional amenities, from food amenities on campus and just outside to sports fields top to bottom, and additionally banks, grocery stores, and all that sort of stuff built around the new neighborhoods at the south side of UBC here. Okay guys, now with parks, plenty to list. Pacific Spirit, the endowment lands of course, Foreshore Park, Spanish Banks, the Rose Gardens, the Botanical Gardens, a list of additional small gardens, memorial parks located around the area as well that really make it as green as you see it here today. Now schools, of course you've got University Hill High School, University Hill or U Hill Elementary as we call them, and then naturally UBC. So some stats about UBC: 55,000 students and 14,000 faculty. We've got 6 campus neighborhoods taking up the whole area here, which is 994 acres collectively. 11,000 neighborhood residents, 11,700 student residents, and a daytime population of up to 80,000 people heading out to UBC on the daily. So last but not least, I found it quite interesting. UBC has a neighborhood plan which is directed by a board of internal directors, and what they decide on is housing amounts and types for the area, transportation for the area, and what is used with or how the open spaces in the area are used. So they're self-governed in those respects. So finally, what I found really interesting was the endowment out here. So how the university generates money, in addition to the student fees of course, are they will sell off plots of land for 99-year leases. So all the condo buildings you see around the entire neighborhood are all sitting on land that's leasehold for 99 years to the university. They will additionally build their own rental housing stock. So they've got the money from the land leases, they've got the rental return from those buildings that they're renting out and own themselves, all going into the endowment. So the endowment is there to support the university's academic mission, as well as support housing for faculty and staff and students. Interestingly enough, 32% only of the endowment is supported by these efforts, and 68% is all brought in by donation. Okay guys, now for the history segment, which I'm actually starting to like a little bit more than the real estate segment even. 1877 was when the initial idea of a provincial university was first tabled, and that was only 6 years after BC, the province of BC, joined Canada. which is interesting. I did not know that. And then, as I said initially, 1910, the lands out here, which was once known as Deep Point Grey or West Point Grey, were finally delegated for the university. So 1915, the original location was established. Now, the original location, even though they were going to build the big permanent location up here, was first placed in Fairview on the VGH site, which was once, and just prior to that, the site of McGill University of British Columbia. At that time, the university was loaned one permanent building from the hospital, and they then built some wooden structures to house the difference of the students at that time, of course, while everything was getting done up here. And that campus, because of those wooden structures, was quickly nicknamed Fairview Shacks, and that name stuck until they left that location. Now, the initial construction of the university out here was paused for World War I, which, as we know, is 1914 to 1919. And from the Fairview Shacks location of the university, 697 students actually enlisted in the war. So everything was put on pause out here until 1922, if you can believe it, where the Great Trek took place, and 1,200 students protesting the start of construction back up walked from downtown Vancouver all the way out here to say, we want our university back, we want it started, we want the development completed, and we want to get in there. And that was the Great Trek. Now, the Great Trek worked, and finally in 1925, the university opened, and everything was good to go. But it was a slow grind from there, slowly picking up, slow enrollments, really until post-World War II, when the people started coming back and the university really started to fill up. In between 1950 and 1980 is really when they got their first big boost, where a lot of the original housing and academic buildings were built. So then finally in the later 80s, two main points were decided on that really started the trajectory we see today. The first is the naming and delegation of Pacific Spirit Park. And the second was the first community neighborhood housing down at Hampton Place on the other side of UBC where we are now. And what that did was really solidified the fact that the original plan that the endowment lands in Pacific Spirit Park area, that 300-acre park that was initially put aside and we're going to develop single-family homes, again, to sell off and fund the university, that was decided to be saved, and they were no longer going to do that. And with that decision, keeping that natural border between the rest of the west side, Dunbar and Point Grey, and UBC, that segregation there, and keep that natural amenity in place, that changed everything on this west side of the forest there, allowing them to make the decision that more density internally was going to be made instead of pulling from that park. Okay guys, now finally for the real estate of UBC. There's a lot going on out here where it comes to residential real estate. I'm not going to discuss the condos. If you go to south side of UBC, there are a plethora of condos and townhomes and all of the usual smaller stuff that the rest of the city is seeing. The north side of UBC, however, today is what we're focusing on. And if you are north of University Boulevard and east of Westbrook Mall, this whole northeast corner is all detached homes, ranging from 6,000 square foot lots all the way up to 40,000 square foot lots, similar to what we've seen in the Southlands, some parts of Kerrisdale, as we saw, and the big guys over in West Point Grey. It's very estate-like up here. Lots of manicured privacy, walls of green, as we see around me here, and there are under 8% of the residents now in UBC are single-family detached homes. So again, The bulk of these homes are from the 1920s to the 1960s, so great options down here for big, massive view properties with big lots to be brought back to life and renovated back up, as we are technically deep West Point Grey, but a very quiet and unique setting on the north side of UBC here. Okay guys, for the last 24 months, we've had sales out here in the detached only section, again, from 3.5 million all the way up to 16 million. And currently advertised for sale, we've got properties from 4.8 million all the way up to 19.5 million. And again, there's some amazing new inventory up here, but there's a lot of very large lotted older homes, which again, are taking a lot of the focus up here. And remember too, this front northeast section is all freehold land, whereas all of the condo stuff you're gonna see is all leasehold. So there you have it. That is UBC Vancouver, the very, very tucked away west side neighborhood, surrounded on 3 sides by water and the 4th side by a lot of greenery. And if you have any questions about the homes in this area of Vancouver's west side, contact me direct at the details below. And any further historic insight you may have that I missed, I'm always loving to hear that side of things now as well. So feel free to comment those below as well. Until next time, thanks for watching.